Hey everyone, Teacher Naya,
Teacher V,
and this is
Topcast.
Here we are
Again,
once again, right?
to please you with our beautiful conversations.
Exactly. And also to instigate you to having your own conversations in English
Yes.
as well. So on our last episode, we were having quite of a firing discussion
Yes.
on social media, right?
It was great.
It was
If you didn't
awesome.
watch that, please stop this video, go watch it, and then come back.
And then come back. Yes, because they kind of like one follow the other.
They link with each other.
Yeah, because the whole topic of our podcast for this past 2 episodes are talking about social media and mental health. And we know how much these two are related.
Yes.
And how much social media influences on our mental health
Yeah.
in general.
I feel like it can be good and bad for our mental health. Like, we have access to good stuff too, like the relaxing cooking that I mentioned last video.
Mhm.
But also, we get a lot of fake bodies, for example, fake happiness, fake lives. Like, you go on Instagram, you're not gonna like post when you're breaking down, like crying and like depressive.
And if you do that, you're judged.
Yeah, so you cannot do that.
If you ever share weakness on social media, it is seen as you are exposing too much of your life.
It's almost like you're making yourself a victim. Like, for people
Exactly.
to feel sorry for you. So it's like we have to be careful with that. Like, we're not allowed to post weakness or like bad moments. Like, you go on Instagram and you post like a drink that you're having, or like a party that you're at, or a trip that you're doing, but like that's it. Like, beautiful pictures. You take like girls and boys. You take like 1,000 pictures on your phone, and then you pick like one to post because like it has to be perfect. It has to
And-
be like a Instagram feed picture.
Yes, and also if you do start posting multiple photos of the same event, you might be showing off.
Yes. Someone once told me, like, when Instagram first started to like be a thing, someone told me, like, we were free to post anything at the beginning, because we didn't have like these social rules of social
the
media.
social media etiquette that we follow nowadays.
Exactly. So like, I posted anything I wanted, like quirky selfies and like food. I used to post food a lot, like on the feed. And then this girl once told me, like, hey, you shouldn't post food because it's cringe. You have to post pictures of yourself. And I was like, why? Who said that? I want to post my pasta that I just did. So we have to follow rules, and that's really not cool.
Yeah, like posting on Instagram is something that I don't do very often because first, girl, I do love doing my makeup. I do love getting dressed up for situations and everything, but I do not have the patience for taking photos whatsoever. Looking for angles, looking for lighting, those are things that I do not do. And then it just, I'm lazy to do that. And my boyfriend hates taking pictures, so then like we barely have pictures together. So whenever I see the photos that we have, they're all cringe. But they're like the best pictures ever because we are just being ourselves and everything. But that's the thing. Social media, you're not yourself.
Yeah.
Majority of the time, you're not yourself because it's like there is this pressure on you showing a side of yourself that it might be you at that very specific moment, but that's not you 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from a movie called Inside Out. Many of you might know it as Divertidamente.
The emotions one.
And the one about the little emotions. And it does clarify a lot of things for me on because the whole movie is about how joy is the most important feeling that we have. How much happiness is the most important thing that we have. And how happiness is something that we look for at all times. But the thing is that happiness is not forever. Sadness is a journey that leads you to happiness. And whenever you face sadness, that's how you know the moment that you were happy. And when happiness ends, is how you know how precious the first were to begin with. So then, whenever you have like those moments, it's nice for you to reflect on them. Remember, oh, I was very happy on that trip. Oh, I looked very good on that very day. But at the same time, this is kind of like sadistic because you keep on comparing, like, why am I not as happy as I was before, or why am I not as happy as this person is, and you don't even know how to feel happy anymore. And that's, for me, it's super problematic.
Yeah. Like, I feel like most of the times when you're not feeling joyful and you're like sad, or like you need a hug, or you just need to cry. Sometimes we just need to cry, like just cry it out and everything's gonna be fine. We are so judged, not only on social media, like just like in general. I feel like there are people that don't understand that we go through things, like, and not every time it's gonna be good, and it's okay, because that's life. We're gonna be sad sometimes. We're gonna cry. We're gonna look ugly crying. Except for Jade Picon, because she's never ugly. But like, it's normal. And I feel like still, like, nowadays it's easier for people to understand things like how anxiety and depression work. But I still feel like, especially older people, they don't get it still. Like, if I tell my grandpa, I'm suffering with anxiety, like, it's bad, I have to see a psychiatrist, I haven't been able to eat, he'll be like, what? You? Anxiety? What is anxiety? He doesn't even know that is a thing. And that leads him to be like, maybe he has anxiety and he's going through stuff that he doesn't even know, because in his head it's like, this is like BS. Like, I have bigger problems. Like, I have to work, I have to make my money, I have to take care of my family, I don't have time for this. This is BS.
Yeah.
And I feel like there is still a lot of people that feel like that. And if you show them that you go through that, they won't get it and be like, no, you're being dramatic, I'm sorry, like, there are bigger problems to solve.
Yeah, mental health is like this very big taboo in general, because it is something very personal. We are the only people who know the struggles that we go through, and then we are the only ones capable of identifying how we are coping, how we are dealing with these problems. And that's when we can understand, maybe I do need help, and this is something that comes from people. But unfortunately, many people, when they come to this realization that they need this help, they don't know where to look for this help, because it's clear that anxiety affects majority younger people, I would say, because like, we know what our anxiety is, so we have a name for that.
Yeah.
And the older people, they have other terminations for whatever problems they might be suffering. They are feeling that rush of adrenaline that anxiety gives you, but like, is because I have a heart condition.
Yeah.
It's never an anxiety. It's never psychological. And this is something that people need to work on how to look for help. And I tell you this based on my own experience. Like, I didn't suffer from depression or anything, but anxiety is something that kind of took over me during my first few months of, like, prior to transition and after transition, because you are afraid of a bunch of things, but you have no person to talk to. And whatever person you talk to, it's gonna tell you like, it's just a phase.
Right.
It's gonna pass. Drink a tea. I do drink teas every day, and they don't work like that, honey. You know?
That's not how it works.
So that's like how triggering these kinds of things they can be. And social media kind of puts you on this alert at all time, because what more do you need when you're feeling anxious about being unemployed? A coach appearing on your Instagram story and say, what are you doing? How are you not earning 2,000 reais a month on your bed? That's all you need when you're suffering from anxiety.
Absolutely. I feel like nowadays it's much easier for people to treat it, because we have much more information going on. Like, people are more aware that it is a thing. Like, I was watching Avenida Brasil the other day, and have you watched it?
Yes, of course.
So you remember Nina, the maid? She likes the it's like, there was Tufão, his son. I can't remember.
Cauã Raymond's character.
Yes. So they were like lovers as kids, and then they grow up, and there's like the whole story. I'm not gonna spoil it, but they become like friends again after they're adults. And every time she sees him and she's like, I can't be with him, but I love him, but I can't be with him, she's like crying so bad and like throwing up. And I'm like, that's anxiety right there. But like, people at that time, when it was first released on TV, nobody talked about that because people didn't know. But that right there was anxiety. And I'm pretty sure a bunch of people related to that at that time, but didn't know that that was anxiety and that's treatable. I don't know. Nowadays it's much easier to like identify the patterns of anxiety attacks.
It is, because it's like, I think all of these concepts, they're gonna be changing as the generations grow older, because we know the problems that affect us. Something that I always talk about mental health when it comes to school, and how school, and especially university, tends to be a very toxic place. I'm pretty sure that our parents and our grandparents, they did not suffer an inch of what we did in school, because the education requirements, they are getting higher and higher and higher within time. And then finishing a school nowadays is the minimum you do. 30 years ago, you didn't have to finish school to have a good job. Nowadays, you have to finish school, finish university, have an undergraduation, have a graduation, and then you might have a chance at getting a job. And that's kind of tough, because our whole lives depend on a test when you're 17. And this amount of pressure, it's kind of complicated. I do think that we should have responsibilities, but we also should have chances and opportunities and safe spaces, and not like our lives are going to be ruined. After I became a teacher, and I got the opportunity of teaching teenagers, I saw many of them cracking under pressure, of like literally not handling the study pressure that they do anymore, because they say the only thing you do is studying. The only thing you have to do is studying. No, that's not the only thing that goes through the mind of a teenager, of a kid. There are other things that should be, that should be talked about when it comes to this. School is such a huge pressure, and university even more, because technically you are an adult, but you're not an adult. You just started becoming an adult. You don't know how to deal with all the things that you're gonna have to do.
Yeah.
You don't know how to deal with the professor that cannot be expelled because he works at a public university, but he's gonna be there trying to make you fail, trying to dismotivate you, and then you just have to deal with that.
So, about how school nowadays is much harder. I feel like school has always been toxic, but like our grandparents' schools were toxic in another way. Like, for example, if you were left-handed, you couldn't be left-handed. You had to be right-handed. So like,
and I'm left-handed.
Like my grandma, she was left-handed and she was obligated to learn how to write with her right hand.
And curiosity about being left-handed, everything that is related to being left-handed, they are considered evil because it comes from religious matters. And I tell that, for example, in Italian, how to say canhoto or left-handed or o lado esquerdo would be sinestro, which has relation to the word sinister, which is something that is
sinistro.
Exactly, that it is kind of like diabolic, evilish, mysterious, dark. And in many cultures, the whole idea of using the left side of your body is considered an anti-religious action. It is considered bad for many people. And we also have this whole thing that left-handed people are more intelligent than right-handed people.
Yeah.
And that's scientifically true, because the whole world is designed for right-handed people.
True.
So left-handed people, they do develop some extra skills because we have to adapt to a world that is not designed for us. So just quick curiosity.
Thank you. That was
Moving
amazing. And nowadays we have more. It's more like you have to pass NA.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the only way that you can take. Like, there are no other ways you can live your life. You have to go through high school, you have to get great grades, you have to have a nice behavior, and we're not going to teach you anything else but what you need to know to pass NA. So like, we are creating a bunch of dumb people, basically. Like, I didn't know what IPVA was until like a year ago. I don't know how to like do my taxes, like the CNPJ taxes. I have no idea. I had no instruction to like any of the life skills I had to have.
Exactly. When it comes, and that's the moment that I mentioned relating to you're being an adult when you enter university, but you're not an adult because you don't know how to do any of the adult things because no one teaches us.
You're not taught to do that.
Exactly.
The only thing they teach you is you have to be strong because you have no choice. You have to pass NA. And then like, your life becomes just that. Mm-hmm. You have no time for anything. You don't have time to go to parties, to like live a life, to go to the park and like ride a bike. No, you have to be at home studying. And it's crazy. Like, people are going crazy. The teenagers are going crazy. I see that because like I teach teenagers and I'm like, so how's school going? They're like, teacher, I'm gonna die. I can't do this anymore. It's just too much. I'm like, no, honey, it's okay. You'll be fine. I am very lucky. My parents get that. Like, they're like, maybe that's not the only way. I know you were told your whole life that's the only way, but that's not. And it's okay. You can do other stuff. And that's what I did. I took a year gap after my senior year here. So I went to the U.S. That's when I lived in the U.S. for a year. And I had the greatest time of my life. And then I came back and I did a test to go on a private university. And it's online and it's great. And I didn't do any. I didn't take the test ever. First time I took it, I was on junior year. And I was like, I'm not going to do this ever again. Ever. This is not for me. This is crazy. Like, I was sitting in the class doing the test, and I saw people, like, crying. The other girl was like, oh, my God, what am I doing here? The guy, like, behind me had, like, a bunch of food with him. I was like, is this guy nervous? Like, does he eat when he's nervous? It's crazy. It's like it's a bad environment. You don't like being there. Yeah. And you have to, like, to go to the bathroom, and you're like, oh my God, I have to go to the bathroom, but, like, I have to finish this, and it's a lot. I have to, like, write a whole essay. I have, like, 90 questions to answer. This is insane. I'm gonna go crazy. I want to just like jump out of the window.
Exactly. You know, and all of these pressures, they come down to how to deal with them.
Yes.
I do think that social networking is one of the most important things during these times.
Yes.
You know, honestly, you need to have people to rely on. They might not be your parents, but they might be your friends. They might not be your teachers, but they might be a counselor at school. Mm-hmm. They might be a psychologist that you're seeing, you know. I tend to say that therapy is for everybody, but not everybody's ready for therapy.
True.
Because sometimes you have to face things that you're not ready for. But if you do feel like you need help, look for that help, you know, honestly. Based on my experience, it was the best decision I ever made. You know, coming to terms with lots of things that I was going through. And especially I'm going to give this advice to young adults. After you pass 25, life pressure on you is insane. Because after 25, you have to have a stable job, basically a house of your own, and be either married or close to that. Always remember that those are goals that other people have set for you. True. Those are not your goals. And if you're 25, 26, 27, if you're 30, and you are at your parents' house, but the person you studied with lives by themselves or is married and have a child, remember something that I'm going to tell you right now. Don't ever compare your beginning to someone else's end.
True.
This is extremely important. People that might be there, they may have started things earlier, but their beginning does not mark the moment you begin your journey. So don't ever compare your beginning to someone else's end.
And every journey is different. So, like, don't compare your life with someone else's life. Like, you do your thing. Be calm. Go, like, take your time. Don't compare yourself. That's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think that's what we have to say for today.
I know. Actually, I do have a lot more to say, but we do not have the time.
We don't have the time.
We're going to get back to the topic eventually because this is something that it's part of our lives.
Yeah, we have to talk about it.
These are things that we do have to talk about it. And as instructors that we are, and people that have a platform to talk about these topics, those are important to address.
Yeah, we got it. We're gonna do it for you guys.
We're gonna do it for you. We do hope you have an amazing day
and an amazing week.
And we shall see you on our next episode. This was Teacher Naya.
And this was Teacher V.
And this was
Topcast.
Bye. Bye.